Thank you
Great,
for
great.
joining us. Thanks for joining us.
My
Yeah.
pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, my community, and what I like to do, I'll introduce you, and we're all part of Christians, and then also looking to be entrepreneurs, and
Okay.
yeah, and we're studying the same material like mindset and faith, like you're studying as well, and yeah, we just love to hear your journey. And for everybody who doesn't know just yet, this is Khadevis Robinson. He is a 4-time US champion specializing in the 800-meter runs. He is an Olympian. He represented the USA in Athens and in London.
Yay.
Yeah, he spent his college years at TCU, Texas Christian University, where he broke multiple records. He's now a coach, as you can see, at the Ohio State University. Yes, they always put the "the" in front of it every time. Every time the football players introduce themselves. On top of that, he's a best-selling author. When Seconds Count, The Minor Moments, Major Things Happen, and Explore Your Core. He's also the co-founder of a youth track and field nonprofit. So yeah, I'm so happy to have you with us.
I'm happy to be here. So everyone here, you say they're entrepreneurs and they're on their journey, and they're trying to find ways of getting better. Is that am I getting that right?
Yeah. So either definitely we're all Christians, and even if we're not entrepreneurs yet, all of us are aspiring entrepreneurs as well. And like you said, yeah, always wanting to get better, looking for ways to support our families.
All right. There's been and I'm a amateur on the Bible, but there's been a passage that's been on my spirit for a while, and I don't know why. And I think I was just talking to my mentor literally right before I called you guys, and we was going over some stuff that's going on, some personal stuff that's going on, and this passage just keeps coming up, and I don't know why, but it's here. When there was a time when the chosen people was after they went through their journey, when they was wandering, and they kept encountering different obstacles and stuff, right, over and over and over again. And every time they would encounter obstacles, they would moan and complain and all those things to Moses, because Moses was the leader, and they would keep complaining and keep moaning. And every single time, Moses would talk to God, and God would give Moses some answers, and then Moses would help him out and say, look what God has done, right? And I'm one of those inquisitive thinkers. I always thought, man, why did the people always go to Moses? Why didn't they just speak to God themselves directly, And then I would tell myself, Khadevis, stop asking so many questions. This is the way the story went, right? They complained to Moses, and Moses talked to God, and they got the answers. But if you understand the timing of the time that they wondered, and how long they wondered, and how many obstacles they kept encountering, you go, man, how much of this stuff do you have to go through? And we all do that, right? We go, whether it's school, whether it's relationships, whether it's businesses, we say, man, when do I finally arrive? When do I finally land in the promised land? And when do I get there? Why do I have to keep jumping hurdles and all these types of things? But the story's not over, right? And so what happens is God kept, delivering the people. He kept giving them water. He kept getting them food. He kept doing all these things over and over and over again. And you can feel for Moses, because Moses is like, guys, are you really going to complain? Are you really going to worry? Are you really going to have fear? Are you really going to come to me with this stuff once again, knowing that every single time we've encountered these things, God has provided, right? And so lo and behold, they come to another obstacle. And they complain. And I think Moses is just fed up. Moses is like, oh my goodness, again? We're going to get water. Water's going to come, but again. And so Moses looks up to God, and he said, God, he prays. He said, God, the people, They're worried, they're fearful, they're complaining, they're moaning about water. And God said, okay, Moses, maybe this is the thing. Maybe the people don't have full faith, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to talk to the rock, right? Now, before that time, every time God told Moses to do something, Moses just did it, and it worked. And it's ironic because the time before then, God told Moses to strike the rock and strike it with the staff. Now, that staff has some significance because it's the same staff that he struck before and water came out. It's the same staff that he took in front of the Pharaoh and made it do all these things. But he didn't tell him that this time. He said, you know what I want you to do? I want you to speak to the rock. And when you speak to the rock, water will come. And I think Moses was so frustrated at the people, and you can hear it in his voice. He said, okay, you guys, you want water, and you're worried, you're stressed, you're moaning. Well, and here's water. And he got water, and it went in the whole night. But that wasn't what God asked Moses to do. God told Moses to speak to the rock. And we say, well, is that such a bad thing that Moses himself don't get to go into the promised land? Why is it such a bad thing that Moses struck the rock instead of speaking to the rock? Well, that's disobedience, right? And it's also a form of not having pure faith, right? So what am I saying? I'm saying God has delivered us through all these things, through all the failed businesses, through all the failed relationships, through all the things we've gone through to this point, and we have to be careful not to strike the rock, but speak to it. You know, we start these businesses, it failed. We start the business, we fail. We start the business, we fail, but we still here. You know, we didn't fall off the face of the earth. We still on a phone. We still on a computer. That means we have internet. We still have our hearing. We still have all these things, which means that somehow, some way, some shape, some form that God has delivered us here. And are we still going to be worried? Are we still going to be fearful? Are we still going to complain? And are we going to strike the rock? No. You see, because striking the rock, the thing about that is people could always say this. If they wasn't true believers with faith, they can say, well, you know what? Maybe that rock had water in it, and him hitting the rock cracked the rock open and the water came out. Or maybe, just maybe it's the staff. Maybe the staff is what's so magical is making all these things happen. Or maybe, just maybe, since we always got to go through Moses, and he tells us, maybe Moses is the secret. And see, God is saying, no. I want you just to say something to the rock. And so the people will look back and say, you know, he just talk. I know it's more than that. It has to be God. Because I know he just can't. If we put all these pieces together, it has to be God. So you know what? You know, we get out of all this, we get that no matter what we go through, we're going to be delivered. Things are going to be all right because of God. And so what I think what's on my spirit is to tell people that, are you telling me you're finna start a business? Are you telling me you're going to get in this relationship? Are you telling me you got all these great ideas and here you are, you're going to complain and moan and worry and fear again? Or are you going to just get to work? You know, if you read the passage in the Bible when the people left Egypt, and the Egyptians started following them, and they got to the Red Sea, and they were sitting there. And if you read the passage very closely, the people start complaining. And Moses said, God, the people are complaining. They saying there was graves in Egypt. But why couldn't they die there? And why we got to go here and all this? And it was in Hebrew, but what God said to Moses was, listen, Moses, this is not the time to complain and moan. This is the time to get to work, get going, do something. And as he said that, one person got into the Red Sea, and then when one got in there, more got in there, and it split open. So what I'm saying there comes a time in our lives where, yeah, we know the obstacles are hard. We know it's going to be hard and it's going to be tough, but we probably don't want to spend time complaining and moaning and making excuses and all that. This is the time to act. And we must remember, and this is part of my story as an Olympian, you see, I learned more when I so-called fail. We all do. We all learn more when we lose when we fail. Now, why is that? Because when we do things right and it worked the first time, we don't go back and really look at it and say what we need to do better. But when things don't do right, you say, you know, it's like having a heartbreak, and you break up and have a bad relationship or divorce, whatever it is. You look back. If you're smart, you look back and you go, what could I have done better or differently? You know, and then you realize it was the other person's fault, obviously, but you give up on it. But you look back on the failures and you say, okay, this is a way to do better. And that's what I say about starting your business or whatever it is you're trying to do. the fears and the doubts that come in your mind, that's normal. We all have gardens. When I was a kid in Texas, my parents had gardens and they planted cucumbers and tomatoes, and nobody planted weeds, and the weeds just grew. It's the same thing about the negativity that just comes in our head. When you're finna try something amazing or you're finna try something that scares you, the doubts and fears just come in. But what should you do? You know, what should you do when the doubts and fears? See, some people think that the most successful people don't have doubts and fears. That's not true. Everyone has it. That's called being a human. So it's a movie called A Beautiful Mind. I don't know if people seen that, but if you haven't, you need to see it. And this is important. If you can write this down, this will help you guys out. In the movie A Beautiful Mind, it's about a professor who's a genius. And he's a professor, he's a genius, he has this beautiful mind, and he's helping people and all that. But what happens is he starts to go, for lack of a better word, he starts to go crazy. And he starts to have all these issues. He started seeing things, hearing things, had these fear, people following them, chasing them. He started believing in himself and all these types of things. But one day he realized something. He realized the things that he was seeing, the people that he was seeing that was negative to him, they wasn't getting no older. So he said, you know what? It can't be real because they're not getting older. It's kind of like Jim Carrey in the Truman Show. He starts to notice, hold on, these are the same people. Haven't we done that before? Haven't we driven on the same street? We drive on that street every day and we see a house. We say, man, I ain't never noticed that house and I've driven on this street. I ain't never noticed this and I've been here, right? And that's what happened to A Beautiful Mind. So after he realized that he must have been going through some, he got back to being normal. He got back to being himself. He got back to being a genius. And as he started back coaching and being a professor, what he realized was this. A guy came up to him, another professor came up to him and said, hey, I know you was seeing things, I know you was hearing things, but now you look like you're doing well. Let me ask you a question. Do you still hear and see those things you heard and you saw before? And the professor said this, he said, you know what? Yeah, I still hear them and I still see them. He looked over and he saw that little boy and girl still standing up. He said, I just ignore it now. You see, most of us, that's what happens. The doubts, the fears and stuff, they never go away. But we have to learn to ignore them. I'm sorry it's raining. I'm in my car and I don't know if you guys can hear the rain, but most of the time, what we have to do is we have to ignore the doubts and fears. And that's what the best do. So as you go through your journey, as you try to accomplish something great, and great's relative, and the doubts and fears come up, you don't, when I say ignore them, I don't mean ignore them as if they're not there. You recognize they are there, but they're not going to stop. And instead of getting upset about failing, instead of getting upset about the doubts and fears you have, what you need to do is you speak your truth into the world. You find a mentor or consultant. You see, here's a secret I give everybody. It's a big secret for everybody. Every president, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, every rich person, Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or Warren Buffett, every professional athlete, Tiger Woods, Muhammad Ali, every one of them, 100% of them had mentors or coaches. Think about that. Every single one of them had mentors and coaches. So if you mean to tell me that if every great person, every rich person, every millionaire, every billionaire, every successful business person, Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, he has a quarterback coach. Tiger Woods, had a coach. Elon Musk or Warren Buffett or whomever Bill Gates, they have mentors. So if all the greats have mentors and coaches, why don't we have mentors and coaches? Success leads clues. Success leads clues, but failure does also. So as you continue on this journey, you have to understand the doubts and fears will be there and they will continue to come. No one plants weeds now, they just come. And that's what doubts and fears will come. They will come. But if you're able to recognize they're there and then ignore them, then you can move forward. Because remember, when the people complained to Moses, what did God tell Moses? It's not the time to complain. See, what we want to do is when we start having the doubts and fears and stuff come up, we want to call one of our homeboys. We want to call one of our girlfriends. We want to go to our coworkers and start complaining about the things that's not working. But this is not the time to complain. This is the time to get to work. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be all rosy. It doesn't mean if you do these things, it's going to happen tomorrow or next week. Some things take time. It takes 5 years to be 5 years old. So what I'm saying is, when you start doing the right thing, you will succeed. But the timeline is the funny part. It doesn't mean you're going to succeed. You will succeed. That's a fact. That's the law. That's the way God made the universe. But we just don't know when we're going to have the success. And that's where faith comes in at. Most of us say we're Christians. Most of us say we're Buddhist or Muslim or whatever, Jewish or whatever the religion is. And we say we believe in God, but we don't have faith. Now, I look at people and I tell them sometimes, I think you have more faith in that chair you sit in than you have in God. And they say, what you talking about? I say, because you didn't even stop to think about sitting in that chair. You knew it was going to hold you up. You just went to the chair and sat down. But here it is. You say you believe in the most powerful thing of all. And when you go through some, you start doubting and fearing. He said, well, I do have faith. Well, that means you either don't have faith in God or you don't have faith in yourself. So what should you do when those things happen? You call a mentor and a coach. When I start losing my faith, I start having times I have doubts and fears about myself, and I start feeling down and depressed. I call my coach, and my coach hypes me up. I have a personal hype man. When I start, man, I don't know if man, what, Katie, you mean to tell me you did this? You're a two-time Olympian. One time I called my friend, I don't mean to ramble, guys, but I want to give you this example. I was at a track meet in Europe somewhere, and I was not as confident as I should be. And I called one of my high school friends that I went to college with. And I was talking to him. I said, it's hard, and it's travel, and time change, and all these Africans over there, and then these other Europeans, and all these people from North America, South America, they're all good, and this, and that. And this is my close friend I went to high school and college with. And he said, Katie, you're an Olympian, act like one. And I was like, and at first I got kind of mad. I'm like, man, who you try? But then I thought about it. And what he was saying was, come on now, believe in yourself. I believe in you. Or my belief in you until your belief kicks in. So for everybody on this call today, as you're going through this journey, as you start to try to accomplish something, remember, accomplishing the goal is not always as important as pursuing a goal. There's power in pursuit, because the person you're going to become as you pursue this goal, you're going to become a better version of yourself. If I can only lift 200 pounds and I'm trying to get up to lift 400 pounds, and I work on this for 5 years and I only get to 350, I haven't failed. I've gotten stronger. I didn't get up to 400 pounds, but I'm at 350 and I started at 200. I am stronger. So if you start on this business and you work on yourself and you get better, now you're a better speaker. Now you're a better salesperson. Now you take better care of yourself because you got to present yourself. Now you've met some more people. Now, even though you might not become a billionaire, a millionaire. Now, because you might not become the person that get all these awards and all that, but you're a better version of yourself. That's a success. And believe me, somebody's seeing that always. That's why I make sure to have a mentor, consultant, and a coach, is because I talk to people. I tell people my goals. I'm going to write a book. And I tell them I'm gonna write a book, and if I see them in 5 months, they'll ask me, hey man, how's that book coming? And if I ain't started, it's a reminder to get on that book. Tell people your goals, not losers, not negative people. Tell somebody positive that believes in you, that believes in your goals and dreams. It's a coach or a mentor. Tell them your goal. I want to do this, and put a timeline on it by next year or by next month. And when you see them again, they don't say, how's that going? And when you start feeling down, just like you would reach out to your pastor, the deacon, or whomever, reach out to your mentor or your coach, and they give you that energy. I don't know if you had a specific question for me, but I know that was on my spirit, and I really wanted to share it with you guys today.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I love like the points that you made, like power in the pursuit. Like you said, we can't fail.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you have to. A lot of things in life is really just the way we look at them. It's really as serious stuff. This is not a cliche. It's really the way we perceive things. When we was kids and we had these goals, we didn't have the blocks in our minds about why we couldn't accomplish the goals, so we only saw the goals. As we got older, we became more realistic, per se, and we had to filter stuff out. And we found all these reasons on why we can't accomplish something. That's why you gotta have I can't emphasize this enough, of having a coach, a mentor, a consultant, an accountability partner, which is what you guys have. You know, if you if you're in a house and you got a what you call it, a fireplace, and you start getting cold, you get close to the fireplace. It's called staying close to the fire. You got to sometimes stay close to people that uplift you. You know, when I wake up in the morning, and I'm gonna leave with this, I have a sand clock. You know the thing you turn it over and the sand come out. I have a sand clock. I light an incense, and if I'm really down, if my energy is really low, I cut on some music. Now why? How many sad people have you seen dancing? It's hard to be sad and dance. You get what I'm saying? So what am I saying? I'm saying I put that clock on there because on the sand clock, we can see the time that has passed. And we can see as the time's going down, and we can see the time that's left. But in life, you got to block the top part. We don't know how much time we got left. So I block the top part. I see the time that's passed, and I focus on the time that's now. That's a reminder to me every day. The only time I got is now, and all these goals I have, I need to accomplish from now. I hit the incense because I want our senses, the sense of touch, taste, smell, hearing, it connects to us. So as I'm telling myself I have to do something now, I'm smelling that scent. It reminds me. Have you ever been somewhere, gone somewhere, and you smell a cologne or a perfume, and it reminds you of your grandmother? And then you remember, or your uncle, or somebody, or your mom, and you remember something they used to tell you just from the scent. And then I play the music because try this. If you're down and depressed, just try this one. Go somewhere and play one of your favorite songs. Just play it and sit there and listen and put it on record. I guarantee you, after a while, before you know it, you're gonna be singing. And you're gonna look back like, dang, boy, about 20 minutes ago, I was down and depressed. These are clues. So as you guys continue on your journeys, hopefully I'll have an opportunity, actually give an opportunity to come back and speak to you guys because that was on my spirit. But trust, and you have to, motivation is like bats. You got to do it. You got to do it often, man. You can't, people think you get motivated and you just, no, every day, literally every day I have to motivate myself. Every single day. And it's the same with these journeys that you guys are on. You're the lucky ones. You're the lucky ones because you're actually trying. See, most people they've given up. They don't believe it's possible for them. And remember, there's an old saying in the South. It said, God help those that help themselves. That's why God asks in questions. If you ever wonder why God asks questions in the Bible or any spiritual book, God knows all the answers. So why is God asking questions? The questions is for you. You know, the question is for you. That's why God said, who told you this? Why are you hiding? God knows the answer already. God said, why are you hiding? So Adam can go, well, hold on, God, you know wrong. Oh, I'm hiding because I did something wrong. You see, it's the questions for you, not for them. And as we go in and journey in life, sometimes we have to ask ourselves these questions. And then sometimes we have to realize that when we're asking questions and we're not getting answers, it's because we already have the answer. That's a big one. That's a deep one. I'm going too deep now. Remember what did Cain say? Cain asked God. Cain said, am I my brother's keeper? What did God say? God didn't answer him. God, like, you already know the answer. Don't be asking me no questions. You know the answer too. I'm not going to answer you and say, yeah, you your brother. No, you know what you did. You know what you did wrong. And you're supposed to take care of your brother. So you ask me a question, I'm going to sit there and let you think about it and ponder that for a while. Some of us been asking questions that we know the answer to, and then we sit back and go, well, I don't know what. No, you do know. Don't play with God. You know the answer. Get your butt to work. That's Khadevism. I know Ashley can give y'all my information. I done went over my time. She told me to give y'all 10 minutes. It's been almost 30 minutes, but it was on my spirit. And thanks for having me, guys.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, there's so much value in everything you said. Like, and that, that's really the point. It's taking everything that we've learned, everything that God showed us, and putting it into action. Like that's what he wants us to do. Like you said,
Exactly.
sometimes,
Thank you.
yeah, we already know the answer. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Really nice.
Sorry.
Yes.
Some of the stuff that you were talking about in the past when we would get together, I started out by telling them, things that I hated. And I said, you know what? But now I say, instead of saying, God, get me out this mess, I say, God, help me withstand the process, because he takes you through a process, right?
Yes.
And when we saying, God, I used to do this, but God, and what they're saying, oh, so God changed things. No, my situation is still the same, or the bother is still the same, but God changed how I look at it.
That's right.
So that's what we're talking about. And so as you were talking, again, the aha moments, like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. I really appreciate you, and I hope this isn't the last time we all see you.
No, and it won't be. And I really think, and this is important, I think some of us, like you said, an aha moment, right? Some of us know that God has spoken to us and told us to do certain things, right? And for some reason, we think somebody else have to tell us that. Now, back in the day in the Bible, it talks about all these miracles and God talking to everybody, right? And I used to ask myself, why did God stop doing that and stop? But God didn't. It's just that now when God talked to us and say something to us, we don't believe it. The people before, when God talked to them, they told that God told me this, I'm gonna have faith and I'm gonna go do it.
Right.
So when you have these aha moments, you know what's in your spirit and you know what God told you. And you're trying, and sometimes we give somebody else power to say, wonder, was that really God? How would they know God spoke to you?
That's true.
You know, but we're afraid. See, that's the thing. That's really it. We're afraid of failing, not knowing that you can actually fail forward. And listen, and I say this because people look at me and they say, Khadevis, how'd you make an Olympian team? You're from the slums of Fort Worth, Texas. You was poor, your mom was an alcoholic, whatever. And I'm no different than any of these people. You know what? I always thought differently, right? But I would say I got a little lucky because whenever I would hear or see something that was different than somebody else, I'm the only child. So I got used to playing with myself and talking to myself, right? So I always had this idea of I was able to do something great, even if other people didn't see it. I really believed it. And so what ended up happening is, as I got around other people that saw that I could do that, they confirmed what I already believed. But what happened to most people is they're not around people that can confirm how great they can be. Or they let somebody else define what's great for them. You know, losing 5 pounds for me is not a big deal, but for some people to lose 5 pounds, that's a big deal because they've been trying for 5 years. But if I let somebody else define what's great for me, then what's that about? If I let somebody else define what woman looks good to me, if I let somebody else define all these things, then I'm living my life. That's the difference of high performers. You know, I'm gonna tell you guys this. I can't leave without y'all getting this right here. In the Bible, it talks about the parable of the talents. And I want you guys to get this. This is the biggest message I can get out. The parable of the talents talks about Jesus gives a story of giving everybody talents and gifts. Everybody has talents and gifts. The great Carl Lewis told me that to my face. He said, everybody get opportunities, but some get a lot of opportunities, some get a small opportunity, some get big, some get small, but everybody get opportunities. And the thing is, if you get an opportunity, take advantage of it. So if you get 1, take advantage of that 1. If you get 10, take advantage of 10. So here's what happens. We all get talents and gifts. That's a fact. Every human being on the face of the earth, every animal has a talent and a gift. And the story, the parable of talent says that the man gave one person 10, one 5, and one 1. And the person that had 10 went out, he tried to make more, he multiplied it, he shared it, you know, he developed it, and he got more. The person that had 5, he recognized he had talents, developed his talents, multiplied his talents, and he shared his talents, and he got more. And the person that had 1 said, oh, hold on now, I only got 1. Now, the person that had 10, if that person lost 5, he still has 5. He still has more than me. If the person got 5, they lost 3, they still got 2. They got more than me. I only got 1, so I want to bring you something. If I try with this 1 and I lose it, I don't have nothing. And then what did it say? What the parable say? The parable say, talents and gifts is not for you to hold to yourself. It's for you to share. It's for you to share. So you got to recognize you have a talent and a gift. And we all know we got a talent and a gift. We know it. We let somebody else tell us we don't, or it's not good, but we all know we got a talent and a gift. Then after we recognize it, we develop it. We get better at it. We develop it. We make it stronger. We put it out there and promote it. Then you multiply it, and then you share it. Now here's the secret. We all have a talent and a gift. We all need to recognize it, develop it, multiply it, and share it. Now, we all know people that can sing just as good as any singer on the radio. But what are they doing? They only sing in their shower. They only sing at Thanksgiving around their family. And they'll tell you, I know a homegirl, or I know that person, I can sing better than them. But what does the story say? The story say you recognize your talent, you develop it, you multiply, and you share it. So you go out on that street, you go out there, you go to church, you go somewhere, and you sing and you share it. And what did it say? You will get more. But here's the catch. It says if you don't do that, what'll happen? It'll be taken away from you. Because what did Jesus say that happened to the person that had the one? He took that one away from them. But here's the other catch. It doesn't say you have to be a good person. I see people arguing saying, that's a bad person, that's a bad person. Why they rich, why they had this, what? Because the story says if you have a talent and a gift, you recognize it, you develop it, you multiply, you share it, you will get more. You can be a good person, you get more. You can be a bad person, you'll get more. And if you have a talent and a gift and you recognize, develop it, and multiply it, and you don't share it, it'll be taken away. You can be a good person, have a talent and a gift. If you don't share it and develop it, it'll be taken away from you. Too many people think that just because they're a good person, they're supposed to have more than a bad person. But what they don't realize is they're not using their talents and gifts. They're not developing it, recognizing it, and multiplying it and sharing it. And that's why we walk around and we see people we smarter than. We see people that we can sing better. We see people that we can invest better. And they got way more than us. Because even though they might be, excuse my language, assholes, they recognize that they're assholes. They developed the asshole. They multiplied it and they shared it. They got more. So as you sit there, there's no excuse to have this gift. I don't care if it's cooking. I don't care if it's doing hair. I don't care if it's dancing. If you have a talent and a gift, you're supposed to recognize it. You're supposed to develop it, multiply, and you have to share it. Even when they talk bad about you, share it. Even when they say you can't sing good or cook good, you share it. You keep on because it's like automatic. This is a law that God made. You will get more. You cannot not get more. It's God made it. But if you don't, you will lose it. That goes with beauty. We've seen people that's pretty that don't take care of themselves. They lose it. And too many of us do that. And I try to tell people all the difference between high performers is they recognize what they're good at. I recognize I was good at track or speaking. A person that's good at investing. They recognize it. They develop, they multiply, and they shared it. If you go watch that, I got to go after this, but if you go watch that Kanye West documentary, guys, I know people think Kanye West is crazy, but I'm gonna tell you something. Kanye West, over a decade ago, said that he would be where he's at now. Call him crazy all you want. He's a billionaire. He said it a decade ago. Now, if you go watch the documentary, I want everybody to watch this. It's so important. Kanye West went into these music execs' office. This is before he was a rapper. He played Jesus Walks for them. They ignored him. You can watch the documentary. You can watch it. He was in there. They was just ignoring. They were talking to other people, and he was sitting there uncomfortable, and he was playing it, and they just ignored him. Now, we know now it's a hit and he's all this, but at the time, they wouldn't give him a deal or nothing. So what did he do? If you watch it, it's strong. He went and he sat with his mom, and his mom hyped him up. She brought him back. He was down and depressed. He brought him back up. And then he went and shared it some more. And next thing you know, he's here. See, many of us, we have talents and gifts and stuff. As soon as they ignore us and tell us we're not no good, or we crazy, or we stupid, we'll abandon our talents and our gifts. We'll abandon our dreams. And then we look at others and say, that person's stupid, that person's dumb, that person's crazy. But how are they living their dreams and being successful? Because they recognize their talent and gift, and they have somebody to support them. This has been Khadevis. This is Khadevism, guys. I can go on forever, but Ashley, you can get them my information. Everything is Khadevis on every social media platform. And guys, really thanks for having me on. I mean, that brought me up. So now I'm ready to go and get my work out here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
a nice day.
You too.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. This won't be the last time we see you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Bye. Thanks everyone for hopping on. I know it's probably evening for most of you, so thanks for carving time out of your busy schedule. And like we said, this won't be the last time we meet with him. I'm gonna post the recording because there's just so many gems that he unpacked, and just thank you.
Thank you. You look so pretty.
I know.